Part 62 of Don't Say Schwarzenegger. We are now about on day 4 of our civil trial in 2021. We're on July 13th. And we're going to talk about 2 witnesses that get on the stand. One is an LAPD officer, and the other one is the nice guy bar manager who saved my life. Side note, for the entire 3-week trial, the defendants who claimed to be so innocent and had all these witnesses and everything, they didn't call one witness for the entire trial. They just cross-examined all of ours. Also, you're not going to believe this, but William Joelson didn't show up for this day in court. He just didn't show up, so the clerk of the court called him and said, "Where are you? We've started." And he said, "Oh, I'm not present because I was watching World Cup last night with my friends, and then I found out this morning one of them has COVID, so I'm en route to urgent care," taking this very seriously. So the judge was like, "Okay, cool, we'll wait." That must have scared the crap out of him. Then the judge points out to Sean Driz that once again, we're on day 4 of court, and he still hasn't provided his financials for the punitive portion at the end. Shocker. Then Sean says, "Okay, so my father, Maurice Driz, he's not feeling well due to his cancer. He's shaking and not feeling well." And the judge lets Maurice leave. But she says Maurice has to call in to court for the trial, like speakerphone, Zoom, whatever. Surprise, surprise, William Joelson never calls back and Maurice Driz never calls in. Okay, so the first witness on the stand for today is LAPD Sargeant Ray Moreno. He was one of the officers that did the original criminal investigation back in 2015. The other officer that did it wasn't testifying because because he had been deceased. I don't know how it happened, but he was deceased before he was able to testify. Sergeant Moreno said that from his report, he said that the criminals fled the scene in a black Jaguar. They also fled in a Bentley and a Mercedes, blah, blah, blah. He names the victims, but only like a quarter of the victims. He named the witnesses, but only like an eighth of the witnesses. And he mentions that me, Anne Green, had a hematoma on my forehead that was 5 by 5 inches large. That was where the traumatic brain injury where they were kicking my skull in while I was unconscious. Now let's get to the bar manager of the nice guy, Daniel McCutcheon. If you want to refer back to part 28 of my series, that's where I show the evidence and talk about how my star witness to my attempted unaliving, how his entire testimony that he gave in detail about what Maurice Driz did to my skull while I was laying on the ground, the entire testimony was changed so that I became a man, so that I no longer had a star witness, and so that Maurice Driz no longer had an attempted unaliving charge, and instead it was brought to a GBI felony. But I'm going to keep calling it attempted unaliving till the end of time, and if they want to sue me, then we're going to have to pull up the discovery of the altered transcripts, and nobody wants to do that, huh? So the nice guy manager gets on, and he says he has a clear recollection of what happened that night. He says, "It will always sit inside my brain." He came out of the nice guy and he saw Maurice Driz on top of me, punching me while I was unconscious. Sorry. He tried pushing and pulling Driz off of my body, and that's when he heard Sean Driz yell, "Get off my dad." And then Sean he kicked the manager in the knee, and then he punched him in the face so that Maurice could finish the job on me. And right after Sean Driz attacked the manager, that's when William Joelson then finished off the attack on the bar manager to also make sure that Maurice could make sure I wasn't alive. The way he was able to identify who Sean and William were was because that evening he said that the owner of the nice guy, and I'm guessing it was Adam Corral because he was very, very involved from the get-go. He even emailed me like, "Oh, I hope you're okay. I'd love to help." He said the owner of the nice guy sent him Instagram photos and said, "Do you recognize any of these?" And immediately the manager was like, "Yep, that's Sean Driz. That's William Joelson." Funny thing is this information, and it's not the bar manager's fault. Adam Corral knew, or the nice guy manager knew, and the bar manager knew that night who they were. And for 2+ years, William Joelson's identity was kept a secret from everyone, the plaintiffs and everything. 2+ years, because 2 years was the statute of limitations to have criminal charges against him. So thanks, Corral family. And just a reminder, Corral, Adam, the owner of the nice guy, his uncle is Peter Corral, the billionaire who is an owner now at Blaze Pizza, who I am going to court with, civil trial, in April of this year to fight to get the Blaze Pizza locations that he bought for a little over $100,000, a total of 11 or 12 Blaze Pizza locations. It should be like 12 to 15 million. Where'd the rest of the money go? I'm sure the billionaires are doing fine, but now instead of healing and all that, we have to go back to court. So great job, Corral family. Don't be embarrassed at all. And maybe we should actually boycott the Nice Guy and anything the Corrals have their little grubby fingers in. I'm just saying. That'll be another post. Then the bar manager says that he also witnessed my brother, Matt, unconscious and getting kicked in the head by men in their group. Yeah, that's another attempted unaliving witness. At this, Sean Driz interrupts the court hearing and he says that his Maurice is throwing up. He's unfit to return due to the radiation from the cancer. And the judge says, I understand. It happens after about 45 days. I'm sorry, she says it happens for about 45 days. She's letting them know she knows all about chemo and radiation and cancer. Remember that. Next up is Alberto Driz gets up to cross-examine because he is Ally McBeal and he cross-examines the bar manager. And Alberto blames the Nice Guy for not having enough security to stop him from trying to unalive us. And then he also blames the Nice Guy for not calling 911 on himself. I love how much this makes sense. Side note, the defendants never called 911 themselves. Instead, they fled before the police arrived. Good times. Okay, let's get to the next part. Thanks, guys.